Imagine waking up in the middle of the night. As the room comes into focus, you suddenly become aware of the fact that you can't move. Your body is completely frozen. But you are awake. You can see, smell, hear, or even feel everything in that dark room. As you become more and more alert, you start to feel scared. Then you notice something in the corner of your eye. Something appears to be in the room with you. This particular night terror is something that people have experienced for centuries. Originating from German folklore, the Alp has been likened to a demon, a vampire, or even a manifestation of a recently deceased relative. Its counterpart is known as the Mara, which is the female-presenting version of the same creature. The Alp focuses on women primarily, though it has been known to attack men and children as well. These attacks occur during the night. Under the cover of darkness, an Alp will enter a person's home. Using its ability to shapeshift, it takes on different forms during the attack. Sometimes it is a shadowy figure, other times it could be a domesticated animal, like a cat. During the attack, the Alp will sit astride a sleeping woman's chest and become heavier and heavier. This makes it difficult for the sleeper to breathe and causes feelings of suffocation and/or paralysis. This is then enough to startle the sleeper awake. Now awake, they find themselves unable to move or even cry out in terror. All they know is the crushing weight of the Alp, but they can also hear its breathing in the silent room. Worse still, the sleeper might even see other shadowy shapes move around the bed in the corner of their eye, but they can't turn their heads to look. This entire attack has been given a name, Alpdruck, which means elf pressure. In addition to this physical attack, an Alp is also able to invade a person's dreams, twisting them dark and violent, which terrifies the sleeper even more. The Alp will then feed on that fear. In addition to feeding on fear, the Alp is also said to feed on the blood of its victims. It's also said to like the taste of the milk from nursing women. An Alp does not just attack humans. It will attack horses, riding them to the point of exhaustion. Smaller animals is said to have been crushed to death during an attack. It's also said to cause minor illnesses among livestock. And if a cow is mysteriously drained of milk, then an Alp was blamed. How does an Alp come into existence? Well, it varies. Like I said before, it has been likened to a demon or a vampire. But it may also be a curse. For instance, a child might be cursed to turn into an Alp. It's said that a child that has hairy palms is at the risk of becoming an Alp. A pregnant woman that is frightened by an animal may also give birth to an Alp. A stillborn infant is also at risk of returning as an Alp. There are also grown adults who may be cursed without knowing. For instance, a person with a unibrow was often suspected of being an Alp, though in this case it was believed that that person may not be aware of what they got up to during the night. Another magical creature would also be blamed for this, a witch. How do you protect yourself from an Alp though? Well, a few ways. You can place a broomstick under a pillow, an iron horseshoe hung from a bedpost. You can place shoes against the bed with toes pointing towards the door. You can also go to sleep with a mirror on your chest. All of these methods are said to deter the Alp. But what if an Alp is in disguise? If a person is an Alp without knowing, then how do you find that out? Well, you track them down. And one way to do that is to somehow injure or mark them during an attack. That mark will stay, and then all you have to do is find a person that has a similar mark during the day. The female counterpart of the Alp is the Mara. Like the Alp, it attacks during the night, using similar methods. Originating in Scandinavian folklore, the Mara will also sit on a sleeper's chest, causing severe anxiety from nightmares and a feeling of suffocating. It can shapeshift and take the form of a man or an animal. though it prefers to take the form of either a young woman or a hag. How old the legends of the Mara is unknown, but it does make an appearance in the 13th century Ynglinga saga. In that story, King Vanlandi of Uppsala would lose his life to a Mara after the creature was summoned by a sorceress named Hulda. When the king was going away, he would promise his wife that he would return within 3 years. But he didn't. Instead, 10 years would pass by. The wife became furious. So furious, in fact, that she would ask the sorceress for help. Either lure the king back or end his life. She didn't care which. Shortly after, the king would cry out in his sleep, prompting his men to come to his aid. The king would say that a Mara was walking on him. When the men held his head, the king felt the Mara walking on his legs. When the men would go down to hold his legs, the Mara pressed down on the king's head, which ended his life. Not only is the Mara associated with Alp, it's also associated with another creature that has counterparts all over the world, the Night Hag. The hag shares a lot of characteristics with the crone and is often depicted as malicious or sinister, often used to frighten children into being good. For instance, in northern England, there was a hag called Peg Powler that inhabited the River Tees, who was said to drag children into the water if they got too close to the edge. A more famous example is Baba Yaga, a hag who lived in the woods in a house that walked on chicken legs and who would travel through the forest on a mortar. Like many hags or crones, she could be very dangerous to anyone who approached her, but she could also be very helpful, giving advice or gifts. Hags are said to inhabit many plains, caves, lakes, rivers, or forests, or, for the purpose of this video, the night itself. The Night Hag is a nightmare spirit in English and Anglophone North American folklore that describes a hag that leaves her physical body at night to go sit on the chest of her victim. Like with the Alp or the Mara, the sleeper will wake with a feeling of terror and struggling to breathe due to the weight pressing down on them. They are also completely immobile. A manuscript from 1896 in Newfoundland describes a man that was suffering from attacks by Night Hag and how to deal with her. It says, "A man told me that he had been ridden to death by an old hag, until a knowledgeable old man advised him to drive nails through a shingle and lash it to his breast when he went to bed." Supposedly, this was one method of dealing with a night hag. The Night Hag is a creature known by many different names in many different beliefs all over the world. Let's take a look at a few other examples. In Slavic mythology, there is a nightmare demon that torments people at night, and the method might sound familiar at this point. This demon is said to sit on a sleeping person's chest, drawing life energy from them until they lose their life. She especially focuses on children. As such, mothers would use different methods to protect from this demon. One method was a stone with a hole in the center that was believed to be able to protect the child. Some mothers would even draw a circle around the cradle with a knife, or even place a knife in the cradle itself as protection. That is also something rooted in folklore. Iron was believed to be protection against all kinds of evil and supernatural. An iron fence was believed to contain the souls of the dead, keeping them from leaving the cemetery where they were buried. An iron knife buried under the entrance to a home was said to keep witches from entering the home. So, a knife placed in or near a cradle was believed to keep evil from getting to a sleeping child. Another night hag-esque creature comes from the southeastern regions of Brazil. This particular hag is commonly depicted as an old, thin woman long, bony fingers, dirty hair, and tattered clothes that spends her time on rooftops watching people below. If she sees someone going to bed with a full stomach, she will enter their home, step on the sleeper's chest. The sleeper will be startled awake but unable to move. In the Philippines, there is a hag, or a vengeful demon, said to attack people at night. Though, in this case, you actually have to invoke her rage. This hag usually resides in the forest, and only comes into contact with humans if they cut down the tree that the demon was living in. If the human who cut down the tree then made the tree into a support post for a house, they might find themselves with a new roommate. And if they were to sleep near the post, the demon will transform to his true form and attack, which often consists of them attacking in the night, sitting on their chest until they suffocate. These are not even all the tales that exist about creatures in the night. So how is it that all of these types of stories exist all over the world? Well, simply put, most folklore tries to give an explanation for something that doesn't appear to have an explanation. An attempt to give a face to something that appears faceless. Night hag syndrome or old hag syndrome are both names for a very real medical condition that is believed to be the root of all of these stories and all of these creatures. You can't really talk about creatures that attack in the night without talking about sleep paralysis. The first clinical description of sleep paralysis and the hallucinations that may accompany it was published in 1664 when a Dutch physician, Isbrand van Dimmelbroek, referred to it as incubus or the nightmare. He wrote, "Sometimes she believed the devil lay upon her and held her down, sometimes that she was choked by a great dog, or a thief lying upon her breast, so that she could hardly speak or breathe, and when she endeavored to throw off the burden, she was not able to stir her members. And while she was in that strife, sometimes with great difficulty, she awoke of herself. Sometimes her husband heard her make a doleful, inacular voice." Put simply, sleep paralysis is not being able to move any part of your body when you are the in-between stages of sleep and wakefulness. The exact cause of this condition is unknown. Narcolepsy, sleep deprivation, or an irregular sleep schedule, anxiety, depression, or other mental health conditions. All of these examples have been observed in people who have experienced a sleep paralysis episode. It is temporary and only lasts for a moment, though how long it lasts varies. It can be everything from a couple of minutes to as much as 20 minutes. And the amount of times a person might experience these episodes might vary from person to person. One person might have several episodes throughout their lifetime, while another person may only just have one experience. We may not know exactly what causes them, but we do have a good idea of what happens during a sleep paralysis episode. The episodes happen when a person regains awareness, either going into or coming out of rapid eye movement sleep, REM sleep. During REM sleep, your brain will relax the muscles in your arms and legs. This is to keep you from hurting yourself. You see, during REM sleep, you're likely to have dreams, and you might act out those dreams. So, to keep you still to prevent injury, your brain tells your muscles to relax. And if you were to wake up, you can't move, because your brain has told your muscles to relax. Your brain is waking up, but your body, your muscles, is lagging behind. Many who have experienced this describe feeling scared or anxious during an episode, which is usually followed by a feeling of confusion right after. Your body just going back to normal as if nothing happened, while your brain is trying to figure out just what happened. Were the things you felt and saw real? Some people have even described feeling nervous or scared about going back to sleep. By itself, sleep paralysis is terrifying. But another thing that adds to the terror is what you see during the episodes. What you see differs. For some, it's only something simple like an annoying buzzing noise that they hear. For others, it's far more unsettling. They hear voices, whispers, growling, or even screams and roars. Some will feel the pressure on their chest, while others will have an intense headache. Some people have described feeling like they were either drowning, floating, or having a sensation that was similar to someone grabbing their legs and pulling them out of the bed. And people have described seeing other creatures, like aliens, animals, shadow people. But the hag does seem to be the most common, hence why she has such a grip on folklore all over the world. These hallucinations, a common side effect of sleep paralysis, is believed to be the sensation that has given birth to so many stories, to so many creatures. A way to explain this terror that seems to haunt so many people for so long. It's theorized that one of the earliest creatures that can possibly be linked to sleep paralysis is traced back to ancient Sumeria. Lilith, first wife of Adam, who left because she refused to submit. A primordial she-demon, a vampire. She has taken on many forms, and she is said to attack or prey on people, especially men, during the night. As mentioned, folktales often try to make sense of something that may seem unexplainable, and sometimes it's also trying to teach. An old hag residing in or near water could possibly be a way to teach the lesson of being careful around water. A hag in Brazil could serve as a caution against overeating, against gluttony, and so on. Sleep paralysis happens all over the world, and if there's one thing that all humans tend to do, it's give a face or a name to our fears. It's easier to blame something else, something external. One example of this is Pesta, an old crone that came to serve as the literal personification of the Black Death in Norwegian folktales. A way to understand the horror that reportedly claimed almost half of Norway's entire population. The monster under your bed is scary. The monster in your head is terrifying. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the video, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one. Take care.